Another episode of From the Pink Seats podcast coming to you, and it's the early signing day special. We're going to talk about early signing day, who we got, who we like, what's to come, and also the transfer portal. It's not officially open, but we've got some early folks declaring, and we've got some folks already interested in us. All that and more. Let's roll. Great blocker. And not just to sort of, I'm going to put my hands on you and turn my ass to the hold. Hello, and welcome to From the Pink Seats podcast, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to University of Louisville football program here on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. I am your host, Producer Keith. With me, as always, Vince Lococo and Matt McGavic. And if you're here, I just want to give you the friendly reminder early. If you're listening on audio, subscribe, rate, review, unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-rate, re-review. Get in there. Do it on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, turn on the little bell icon. You can get notifications when we go live. Because guess what? Just because the regular season's over, the content doesn't stop. And fellas, if we were a national show, buddy, we'd have content for the next few days. Because before we dive,
being football played, because now we got ADs fighting each other now.
Are we just gonna pass over Keith's smooth jazz intro right there?
I was gonna say,
go ahead, Matt. Go.
I was vibing to it. I was like, we're doing this entire podcast with our low and sultry, smooth and silky voices.
I'm auditioning for NPR. So, folks, we've got the signing day special, early signing day special going on today, as well as some transfer portal updates. But before we dive into that, of course, national news that in a roundabout way kind of affects Louisville. College football ratings came out, and boys, Miami, they got shafted.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my biggest gripe of the whole thing, I don't think it's not the whole thing. I have a lot of gripes, but the one that glares to me the most is Ohio State's loss to Michigan. Like, at what point do games not matter? You just lost to, and how is Ole Miss even in the conversation, after losing to Kentucky? I don't mean to shit on, actually, I do mean to shit on the school down the road, but still, I mean, to my point, guys, like, games have to matter at some point, and it's kind of frustrating. And it's, I think Shane Beamer said, he's like, why is anybody even playing a freaking hard schedule anymore when we can just play, whoever, FCS West and FCS East run the table and we'll make it into the playoffs no matter what?
Well, yeah, Shane Beamer has the right to say that because he has the one simple trick that TV executives love and can't resist. And it's having those magical 3 letters in your conference affiliation that apparently makes you the hypothetical champion of the world. So,
he had a good point for an SEC coach.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Like, he's in the magical conference, or that would work. Try to pull that shit in any other
league. We'd make the playoffs too. If we played a bunch of bums the entire time, we'd make the playoffs, and we'd be the team in the tournament where they'd say, "Well, I mean, Louisville looks good on the field, but have they really played anybody?" It's that's all they would say.
I think much like Indiana. Well, Indiana's in the Big Ten, so they sort of got a little bit of Big Ten privilege.
Right.
If a Big 12 school
that's like saying Vandy has
school,
SEC privilege.
You bet your ass if Vandy went 9-3, they'd probably be ranked like 14th, 15th, something like that. Where Syracuse, also 9-3, is down at they just got ranked finally at 22nd. So that was one of the things. Louisville fans were kind of freaking out after the Syracuse game, and then the chaos that ensued the week after, like, oh, there goes our shot at the play. There was never a shot at the playoffs.
No. I just wanted to get in like 14, 15, 16 range where I could bitch.
Just to at least be ranked.
Where I could have some valid points to complain.
Well, speaking of 14, 15, you bet your ass if SMU loses to Clemson,
they're screwed.
Executives are tossing them out of the club. Like Rhett Lashley said on another program, like, if all our team got COVID and we couldn't play the ACC title game, that would be the best thing for them. because then like, oh, you can't lose your spot. And then of course he said, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to play the game. But oh, you best believe those TV execs are looking for any excuse to toss SMU out the club.
See, and it's like
bullshit,
SMU.
but
I mean, that situation, Keith, it's like, again, games don't matter. It's that whenever Ohio State was playing last week, essentially they were saying all they have to do is win and they punch their ticket. All they have to do is win and punch their ticket. It's like, so the conference championship just doesn't matter anymore.
no,
Like it's just not a game.
So the thing that irritates me the most for the 3 lost teams lobbying for playoff position, I haven't heard a single defense of any of those teams that doesn't involve the word if.
Oh my God, I know.
If Alabama played against Miami, they'd be double-digit favorites. And
But
it's
they
like,
don't.
one, no, they
Yeah.
fucking wouldn't. And 2, they were double-digit favorites against Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. How'd that go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the SEC is undefeated in hypothetical matchups. I mean, that's
Apparently.
their number one defense, and it's because Nick Saban did it a couple of years. I think it was
And that's-
last year or something like that. We're like, well, like yeah, if Bama was in, they'd be favored such and such. That's why they should be in. No, like Vegas
No.
lines shouldn't dictate like how you view resume because that's a purely hypothetical thing. So I don't know why like so many college football fans and coaches and administrators take the hypothetical approach and they say, you know what? I think Alabama would beat Boise State, so I'm going to put them in over them. No, like you have to go by the actual body of work and the games that have actually been played. You have to make the on-field product matter and not a bunch of hypotheticals.
It's like they're trying to take away a Cinderella story in a lot of type of ways, Matt. If you think about it, like a Cinderella school in March Madness, who's like a very high ranked team. I mean, and they go all the way at like a Florida Gulf Coast whenever they make it to the Final Four that year. Like everybody is rooting for them. That can happen in football just as easy with a 3-loss team from a conference outside of the SEC. Like, I mean, our team on any given day can compete with just about anybody in the country, you know, and a lot of these teams in the top 12.
Yeah, like in an era of unprecedented parity in college football, there is no one conference that truly stands above another, at least amongst the P4 ratings. And hell, even some of the better like G5 teams like Boise State. I believe it was your mark of the Big 12 was saying no G5 champion should be ranked ahead of ours. I'm like, Boise State and UNLV would legitimately have a shot of winning the Big 12 this year.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like those are some damn good teams. And it's frustrating to see that merit doesn't matter. And it's just, well, this is a big popular brand, so we want them in our made for TV product. And
see, and that's the thing is like, wouldn't you want to create another big popular brand? Like, I mean, like I was a kid, Keith, whenever you were a young adult, Boise State and Kellen Moore was like, they were just on the come up, and it was like they had just created this crazy, awesome national brand by making a BCS bowl and everything. It's like, well, now they're a national staple and a national, you know, like I look at what Boise State does every year. I see what the Blue Turf does every year.
Now, and like I try not to be a conspiracy like theorist on things like that, but well, it just so happens the college football playoff is owned by ESPN, ABC, and they happen to have the rights to the SEC. So, well, it's our most expensive valued property. So let's pack as many of those SEC teams in there as we can.
And who owns ESPN? Disney. Who can we blame for everything? Disney.
The mouse.
The mouse.
It's always the mouse.
Yeah. About the only thing that I can actually agree with in the College Football Playoff Committee's like entire approach is that the teams that are not competing in conference championship weekend, like that, the current order is not going to change between these ratings and next week's. Like, for example, I mean, Ohio State at 6 and Tennessee at 7. Tennessee's not going to magically jump Ohio State for whatever reason, like because of some metric like that. That order is going to stay. I might disagree. I might disagree with the actual teams in the order, but I do agree with the approach that like if you're not playing, you're not a team that is not playing conference championship weekend is not going to jump another team that is not playing on conference championship weekend.
Yeah, we're just going to make sure that we put the teams that we want to slot in ahead the week before.
Before we move on, which of these 12 teams do you all want? Playoffs are set right now. Which of the 12 teams do you all want to win it all? And which are you rooting for? I'm going with Oregon, based off the Will Stein and Dylan Gabriel. I love Dylan Gabriel's game. Obviously, Will Stein. I mean, Dan Lanning makes me want to run through a wall. Did you all see him smash that helmet? Like he had a Washington helmet and smashed it. Like that dude is electric.
Juice.
Yes.
Nothing.
Who are you all going to be rooting for in that? Obviously ACC schools too.
Nothing would make me happier than a school like Boise State crashing the good old boys club of college football and winning a national title.
Like Ashton Jeanty 180-yard game against like Georgia.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, because we all know that like the top end brands and blue bloods. I mean, and that deservedly so, they have more cachet. But like they do have a little bit of like I said, a good old boys club. Like you look down on the inferior programs and whatnot. So to see a program like Boise State that was literally like a JUCO like in the 70s, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly, outside of either Clemson or SMU, whomever wins that game, and maybe Boise, I like this whole ordeal of just making it a made-for-TV spectacles kind of turned me off of the whole thing. Like, I'm not going to say I absolutely won't watch it, but I'm not going to be living and dying. Like, it'll be relegated to phone while I'm doing something else. Like, this has really soured me on it because you sell the audience on something that's supposed to be fair and merit-based, and in the end, it's just the SEC Big Ten Invitational, and that's horseshit to me.
Yeah,
so,
as much as
go ahead. My bad.
As much as I would not like cheering for the Golden Domers, if it meant them putting belt to ass on Alabama.
Oh, I've already told one of my buddies who's a diehard Notre Dame fan, like round one, if y'all get Bama, cave their fucking heads in. Like,
I might break out my green Brady Quinn jersey that would come up to my belly at this point in my life if that happens.
Man, I'm so lost it in a house fire, but embarrassing childhood purchase. Definitely requested a Dolphins Brady Quinn jersey before that NFL draft, just assuming the Finns were going to take him. Was not thrilled to see Ted Ginn Jr. come off the board.
Yes, seriously.
Oh my God, you poor thing.
Somebody on Twitter mentioned NIT of like 13 through whatever.
I'd watch that.
Even. I would definitely watch that for sure.
But who would play? Like the players won't play in that. It'll be just the same as bowl games.
At this point, put a money incentive behind something like that. Put a money incentive behind bowl games. That's how you make the whatchamacallit in-season tournament entertaining for NBA players. I mean, you got guys like LeBron James going crazy for what? How much money is it? Like $2 million for the players, and he doesn't even care. He just knows his.
Oh no. Technical difficulties with Vince, so we'll bring him back in just a second. But no, I'm supposed to add that in post.
Yeah.
Now you know I'm just going to clip that and use that for the new audio. But while we're getting him situated, we'll go ahead and transition.
We're back.
Yeah, you're back. Just in time to talk about early signing day. So we had a couple of surprise additions. Once the flurry from about 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. sort of slowed down of the metaphorical faxes coming in, we had a couple of surprise additions. Now we're up to 68th in the country with our high school recruiting class, 15th in the ACC. So we're out of the cellar.
I was going to say, yeah, it's better than what it was.
Yeah. A friendly reminder that this is early signing day, National Signing Day, coming up February 5th. So we don't have time to go through the entire class. So we're going to try and speed through a couple of different things. And the first thing, the big fish of the class. And of course, the highest rated prospect we had, edge rusher coming out of Alabama, CJ May. Matt, I'll start with you. I assume we all have watched a little bit on this kid. What are some of the things you like the most?
I mean, he's just a really versatile pass rusher. He can play in a 3 down in a 3 tech, or he can play kind of on the how the oh god, what's it called? The Leo in this defensive scheme is like he's not a true outside backer because he doesn't play like a ton of pass coverage, but he's very good off the edge. He can get after the quarterback. He's got a good set of pass rush moves. I haven't been able to watch some of his senior year film, but I do remember when he committed. I watched his junior year tape, and he's pretty good. Just to say that.
They actually used him on offense some this year too, so he demonstrated some hands and some versatility being able to catch the ball. But I like the idea. Well, one, he's also got flowing long with some curling hair.
We got a couple kids like that this year.
Yeah,
we have 3.
Ashton inspired a generation.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm curious to see what we do with him. Because like you mentioned, he is able to play Leo. He is able to play that down edge rusher. I think that's where he would be better at. But he also has the coverage capabilities to really open up the defensive playbook, try to throw some zone blitzes where if he's on the field, we can drop him into coverage and send another man off the outside or just be aggressive attacking up the middle. Really allows for versatility as a defensive play caller. And then, of course, the other big fish, and we're not just saying it because he's a quarterback, the second highest rated recruit in the class, Mason Mims, quarterback out of Oxford, Alabama, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Threw for, I believe, is 3,500 yards this year.
Somewhere 31. I've actually got the release right in front of me. 3,100 for his career. Only had 4 interceptions his entire high school career.
It's pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. Yeah.
And
he's very accurate. I think he had like a 71.5 completion percentage. He doesn't have a huge cannon, but his arm strength is definitely above average. But his best work comes on like putting good touch on his throws, making good decisions, not putting the ball like where it's gonna be in harm's way. I mean, if you're only throwing 4 picks for your high school career, you're doing something right.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Braum, at least from what I've seen with the quarterbacks he's played and pursued, absolutely loves. Like, don't give the ball away if you're a quarterback. Now, I mean, we've talked about
the money.
We've talked about Mason Mims previously on the podcast, and if I remember correctly, I gave him a very favorable NFL player comp.
Who was that again, Keith? I think you should double down on that take.
Check down Tom, baby. Just know the offense, know the timing, know your receivers. If it's not there, check it down, baby. That's all you got to do, and let your players make plays.
So I double checked myself. It's actually just 4 interceptions for his senior season, but still pretty good.
That's
4 interceptions in a season. The kid's a bomb.
Back to CJ May for me. I enjoy the fact that this kid is 6'4", 225, and looks like he has hardly little muscle definition on him. I mean, to me, that says cut the baby fat, and this kid's going to be a monster here with size. And he's not like an Adonijah Green, like lanky. Like he definitely has some meat on the bones. So that's going to be something to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy like Ashton that comes in and just picks up a shit ton of muscle like immediately the first 2 months he's here.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to work his ass off if he wants to pull that. But yeah, puberty and the strength and training program can smack that kid like a sack of bricks because he's got the frame to support a lot of muscle. So those are the 2 big fish of the class. A couple of really late flips that we weren't expecting. The first one, Kamari Williams, the bigger of the 2. I believe he was previously committed to Arkansas, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He's going to play. He's going to play for Jeff Brom instead of Bobby Petrino.
3 or 4 star prospect, depending on what recruiting service you're looking at. But the kid looks like he's toolsy. And while I would love to see freshmen get on the field, I don't know if this is one who will be able to do it immediately. But if anyone in this class is, I feel like Williams is going to be the kid.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on him. My bad, Matt. I'm right there with you on him, Keith. He's going to be a guy that Brew would like to say, like, we're going to have to put tools in his toolbox. Like, he's got it, but we're going to have to add stuff to him to make him a complete wide receiver, and there's no better opportunity to do that than this year with the amount of guys that we have in that room. So go ahead, Matt. SI report. Go.
No, yeah, you're fine. No, when I was like kind of diving into his film a little bit, like he's got a lot of good traits that you would want out of a wide receiver. These are some of my notes that I wrote down. Better than expected deep ball threats, got really good concentration in that department. He's physical with good body control, a little inconsistent with it, but he does demonstrate like the ability to like catch the ball in traffic. His release off the line of scrimmage for someone who's 6'1" is very underrated. Good route runner, but his tree isn't super diverse. He runs a lot of comebacks and a lot of goes, not really a lot in between there. And for a 6'1", 170 guy, so someone who's on the bigger end in high school, he's got pretty solid run after catch ability. I mean, there's a lot of good things that he can expand upon once he gets on campus.
Yeah, and I believe he is going to be one of the early enrollees for the program. No, he is not. Never mind. Well, so much for getting an extra spring ball of work in. Damn,
I thought all these kids are signed right here, early enrollees.
No, the only ones that are not early enrolling are the ones that committed today.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, speaking of another one that was a late flip today, Brock Kaufman out of Sayre in Lexington was previously committed to Ohio University. Wasn't a kid that had a ton of big time offers. A few MAC schools and West Point were on his offer sheet. We come in, scoop him up on signing day. You all were able to dive into his film. Tell me a little bit about what you all liked when you saw him.
Yeah, Vince and I were both like, yeah, hand up. We like his film.
We're like, don't shit on 1A football, but we love this kid's film.
Yeah. I mean, like, I can see that he's not exactly playing against the best competition in his highlight film.
Hey!
Take a look. But I know. But, I mean, the kid is shifty. He's fast. I thought he looked like he was a good short to intermediate route runner.
Not afraid to go up and catch the damn football either, you know? Like a lot of those throws that were coming across the middle were in very tight range where the safety could go for some ribs or something. If you follow Jeff Brom's career, he offered a kid out of Collins High School named Dre Ferris back in like 2014, 15. Go watch Dre Ferris's highlights from Collins. That reminds me a lot of Brock Kaufman's highlights and why it now remind you, Jeff ended up leaving 2 years after that. And Dre ends up going to play safety for Western after his first couple years there. But this kid's highlights remind me a lot of Dre. Now he's playing both of them, not playing the best competition, right? Collins and where was he at? Where's this kid out of?
Sayre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you expect these highlights, like, if we offered him and he looked, mid on a couple highlights, I would be very disappointed. But the fact that he is looking explosive, he is looking like he's tearing people up. And if you go watch his kid's safety highlights, you'll be just as impressed.
I was about ready to say he plays strong safety and he can hit.
Yeah.
Hey, 1A ball, you play both ways. you 6A kids wouldn't know about that life, would you?
Shit. Ask Rajay Burns. Played safety and wide receiver.
But no, so sounds like with the skill set you're mentioning, also potentially a future in kick returning as well if he has the straight line speed.
Dude, at least Micah Rice on gunner is going to be sick.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, we still got Egan gunning for a couple of years. Don't run him off just yet.
I'm here for it.
All right, so those were a couple of the late flips. We had a couple of kids that. One wasn't committed, but also had his other P4 offer was Arkansas. Bailey Abercrombie. Didn't have him on the show sheet, but just for a quick update, I was watching some of his film. Surprisingly shifty for an interior defensive lineman. Has really active hands. Impressed with his pass rush ability. In the run game, even when he was double teamed, he was getting a yard or two in the backfield every play. And he played some solid competition. I was watching some of his state playoff games in Alabama. And this kid can play. And it looks like the staff is making an aggressive, like on the recruiting trail aggressively in the Floridas, in the Alabamas. Because another Florida kid, big kid, Tyler Fulmar, was another late flip, was previously committed to UL Lafayette, and very raw is what I'll say there. There's a lot of room for him in the strength and training program, in the strength and conditioning program, as most offensive linemen who are true freshmen come and have. But one of the things he has that you can't coach, that kid's got size. 6'6", listed at 330 pounds. I think he probably weighs a little bit less than that just looking at him. Raw technique, but he plays mean. And that's always a big plus in my book if you can get after somebody.
He won't need a dirty bulk, that's for sure.
No,
I would have rather
not.
offered Abercrombie's teammate Fitch.
Pitch.
Am I right?
I was trying so hard for us not to go with that joke on this show. I was trying so hard.
Well, you were outmanned there.
So
yeah,
now, of this recruiting class, there are a few kids that jumped out to each of us individually. So we're going to go through some of our personal favorites. But before we do that, it's another personal favorite of mine. Our friends at Underdog Fantasy. And fellas, the college football season. Hold on, let me get the intro voice back. Gentlemen, the college football season, it's nearing its end. One of the best ways that you can take in, enjoy, and cherish the remainder of this college football season, like the flittering snowflakes as winter comes to a close before the new spring, is by playing with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to cash in this football season. Every single diehard college football fan loves making picks. Why not cook up your own entries to win real money? Make your entries in just a few taps, picking higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, passing yards, interceptions, and of course, touchdowns, because chicks dig the touchdown. So join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog. With their pick'em game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. And every dog deserves a second chance. I know my dog certainly does. So, with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. I benefited personally off this with an Isaac Brown injury earlier in the year. It's fantastic. Made my weekend. Another fantastic feature on Underdog is Vulture Protection. So if you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry, and some filthy, conniving backup running back comes in and vultures that touchdown, Underdog will come in and rescue your entry. Much like the brave firefighters and first responders rescue helpless civilians. So download the app today and use code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's promo code PINKSEATS for up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, and 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
I thought you were about to tell me to put creme fraiche on something.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's how we increase our numbers with the female demographic.
Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You've got enough hair for both of us, Keith.
I'm not sharing.
That's funny.
So back to the personal favorites. I'll go ahead and kick us off here. And I'm torn between two dudes, and the common trend between the two of them is violence. Big fan of this, but you know what? I'm going to show WAPO some love. I'm going to go with a northern kid because we've got too many southern kids getting all the love and attention. Out of Wapakoneta, we're going with Grant Hauser, a tight end recruit, committed pretty early on in the process, got an offer from Indiana kind of late in the recruiting process. And this was as Indiana was in the middle of their 9-Windiana stretch. Really made things a little spoopy for me, but he stuck with the Cardinals. Big body kid. 6'5", 230, and he definitely looks it. Like he doesn't have that sort of little baby fat pudge on him. Like, kid's already put together. Looks like he knows his way around a weight room. I'm not going to say he's like a full-blown vertical threat route runner type tight end, but he can run the route tree well enough to be a threat. Like, there was a couple of plays that they ran where it was like a designed bootleg rollout where it looks like it's going to be an option play. He gets up to the second level, breaks down like he's going to block, and then just takes off on a backside post. QB stops and just drops one on him because he's wide open. It was beautiful. Loved it. And part of the reason that worked is because because he's so big, great blocker. And not just to sort of, I'm going to put my hands on you and turn my ass to the hole just to get the guy through. Like, he's running guys into the ground and bullying people. Like, he blocks like a lineman. He's got that mean streak to him.
That was great describing of how wide receivers block.
Hey, not all wide receivers.
Slightly offended, but also kind of accurate.
And then the last thing I'll put about him, and Vince, you'll like this too. He's versatile. Not only did he line up in tight end positions, they lined him up at, I believe, X wide receiver. They put him in the slot as well. He's lined up as a wing back in some wing T formations, and they put him in at fullback some as well.
Love it.
He could be the guy you're clamoring to get a touchdown here in 2-3 years. So
I love it. Yes, I can already see it now. Yes.
So Grant Hauser, that'll be my personal fave. So Matt, we'll go with you next.
So I'm going to go to the other side of the line of scrimmage. I'm going to go with Caleb Mathlau. He was someone that had committed over the summer, and he's a weak side linebacker. I think he's going to project at that level. Vince, we were kind of talking before that we started recording how like he's one of those guys where like you watch the first 30 seconds of his highlight tape and you're like, yep, put him on the offer board.
Yeah.
So it's like he's athletic. He operates with decisiveness. He can blitz the A and B gap with authority. Like, he's a thumper. He's
under control when he does that too, Matt. It's not like he's running. A lot of times guys run in there and they shoot that gap, they blitz or whatever, like in his first two highlights, like we were talking about. One of them is like they run a reverse or something, jet sweep, and you just see his slow play and his patience whenever the ball is coming back across the line of scrimmage that we, quite frankly, did not see from any of our linebackers this year. That's why we got hit on those wheel routes and things like that. So continue.
Yeah, but no, he's like you said, he's violent, but he's decisive, and he doesn't play with recklessness. I think he overshoots on some of his angles a little bit, and I didn't see, from what I remember watching you say, but I didn't see like a lot of pass coverage snaps. So that's going to be something he's going to have to, build on once he gets like on campus and continue working on that. But at least if he's going to see the field early in his career, I think I can definitely see him being like a Monty Montgomery type, where like you put him in on blitz packages or packages where you're going to crowd the box and really bring pressure. I can see him in that type of role.
I am going to go with Micah Rice. Boys, I absolutely love this kid. For one, it is the size on him. I mean, he has the frame of another kid he's got good size as he is right now, but obviously not college football size. But he has to where, he could probably get about 15, 20 more pounds of muscle on him. He's definitely a kid that's going to come in and work his ass off. I personally see it on almost a daily basis when I go up to the gym. Him and his entire family are up there working. I mean, from everything from free weights to speed training to the pool. Like, it's insane how hard their family works. So I am very excited to see what this kid can do once he gets into a college weight room, once he gets on the field. What position he's going to play, I'm not really sure, because he's in that weird spot with his height to where he could be safety, outside linebacker, or even, at the same time, he could, it depends on what kind of kid he is. You could move him in the inside if you really wanted to. That's kind of what we did with, what was his name? CJ Avery. CJ Avery was a safety coming out of high school, and we end up, now granted two different sizes. CJ was a little bit beefier coming into college, but you get the point. This is a kid that we can put size on. He is fast as hell. I love him in this gunner's position. That if you watch his Oldham County highlights, whenever North played Oldham, he has two where he just makes guys look stupid out there. We talk about Brock Kaufman and how like the talent, you can clearly tell which one's the Division I athlete on the field. This is another kid where, like, you watch those highlights, it's like, damn, these other boys, fraternity, speed school, all that stuff's going to fit them just well. They're not on the Micah Rice playing level. I'm also excited for Antonio Harris. A kid that did not get to play his position this year at Male High School, which, me being a Trinity guy, sorry, Antonio, I wasn't, I was kind of happy about that. Like seeing Chris Wolf's hands cupped a little bit, but no, I'm kidding. I enjoy this kid. He's a legacy kid. Doug Beaumont, right? Is his uncle.
And he's Nate Harris's kid too.
Exactly, Nate Harris's kid. I'm very, very excited. He's going to come in and work his butt off. The legacy kids always seem to come in with a chip on their shoulder. Even a kid like Russ Yeast came in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of who his dad is, because people know who they are. I feel like a lot of them assume people think things are going to be given to them, like because of who my dad was, because of who my uncle was, X, Y, and Z. But they end up being some of the hardest workers on the team. And, Chris Wolf always has put out some good product. I love to say because it's good for the city, but I hate to say because he's personally beat me a couple times.
So just to put a sort of a bow on the high school recruiting front, there are because we still don't have signing day for another, 2 months, it is still possible we land one or two more guys. Now, I believe, Matt, you were at the press conference today. Coach Brom was asked whether we should expect more people to be added or not. He indicated that it wasn't likely unless it was someone that could make an immediate impact. So it makes you wonder, are there any players left who could fit that profile? The only one I could think of off the top of my head was Chaston Brown, who we were previously in the mix for, committed to UCF, then decommitted when Gus Malzahn announced he was leaving to take the Florida State job. Now Florida State is going after this kid and pushing hard for him, so I'm kind of pessimistic on that front, but it was a name to look out for. Matt, was there anyone else on the radar at this point that you think would fit that profile?
So, like, at the time when he made those statements, like, there were still a couple guys out there that they were trying to flip or trying to bring in. I think safety Locavian Jackson, who is a Mississippi State commit, I don't think he had signed yet, but he signed with the Bulldogs not long after. I think Carl Jenkins Jr., the former UCF commit, he actually recommitted and signed with UCF. And then there was another kid, Christian Neptune, like a two-way guy who plays mainly at wide receiver. He's someone that Louisville had made like a really big push over the last couple weeks or so, and he ended up committing to South Florida.
And then Nashawn Montgomery as well was another guy. I don't know if he had committed at that point in the day, but
Nashawn was committed already. Nashawn signed with Florida, like, I think late morning, if I remember correctly.
All right, because I remember he was one we pushed hard for. We had him up for the Pittsburgh game. There were a couple of other schools, I believe it was like us and Alabama, but Florida has been on the warpath lately, so they were able to hold on to him. So those were some of the misses. But just the final thing I want to say about this high school class is, while they aren't necessarily the biggest, Coach Brom has demonstrated, at least in my personal opinion, very strong acumen for identifying talent. Like, you look at Watson and Brown in last year's class. I'm still super high on Dylan Messman, although everyone was high on him. He was a 4-star prospect. But then you go down the list to some of these guys, like Maurice Davis was a middling 3-star rated prospect coming out of coming out of Albany, Georgia. And he looked electric. He looked electric in spring ball. Electric. Like, he looked so good, I almost expected to see him playing during this year. Trent Carter, a low 3-star rated kid coming out of Florida, also looked right at home in the Mike linebacker position. Like, I would not be shocked to see him rotated in and playing in this upcoming season, because that kid is a dude. So the small classes, I get the frustration. I'm right there with you, because he can obviously identify talent. There's got to be more than 15 kids.
Well, one of them we're bringing in on a preferred
You will like the portal.
One of them we're bringing in on a preferred walk-on, Carson Hilbert, Trinity kicker. Now,
Yeah,
You might laugh because, I'm talking about a kicker, but if you've actually watched this kid in live action,
yeah.
like
Didn't
I
he drill
have,
like a 50-yarder the other week?
kid is a dog. Now he needs to, it's close to, I don't know if it was a true 50 or if it was close to 50, but the thing is he needs to get a little bit more consistent on his field goals, in my opinion. Now, I don't have any numbers to back that up. I've just seen him miss field goals in the games I've been to, and I'm gonna say you're gonna have to make those. That's your job, I don't kick, so that's what I'm gonna have to say. But as a punter, I love him as a punter. I mean, he kicks balls so high you can barely see them in the night sky whenever they're being kicked at Trinity. So I know I'm talking about a specialist. I know you guys know me as the Trinity homer, but kid's actually really good.
Well, I mean, we're going to need kickers and punters because Travelstead and Hodges are both seniors, right? So they're done after the bowl game.
Yeah.
So got a lot
and
of production.
His younger
we're gonna have
brother
to
is apparently his younger brother is now. I don't know if they listen to our show or anything. So Carson, you might take this as a challenge, but I've heard his younger brother is just as good, if not better.
Ooh, all right. So special teams, special times, baby. Bring in all the help we need.
Their dad being the former U of L specialist. I mean, you kind of expect them to. I mean,
now you fellas feel that, because this program something odd's happening. Something odd is happening. Oh wow! Oh, we're falling into a portal. Woo!
I hate you so much.
So it's time to talk a little bit about the transfer portal. So of course,
oh my god,
the conversation got
started. Can we use the one from Rick and Morty next time? I like that one.
Yes.
So we gotta go all the way back to, I believe it was week 5 or 6 for when our first portal exodus was happening. So just to get the conversation started, here is who we've learned is leaving so far. Devin Neal. Oh no. No. We've got Devin Neal, who's in the portal, Aaron Williams, Madden Sanker, Mason Reiger, Don Chaney, Jaden Thompson, Maurice Turner, Jaleel McClain, Ben Perry, Jaleel Skinner, and Jimmy Calloway. Of the ones who have declared so far, are any of these really a surprise?
No, in my opinion.
No. I mean, there's a couple guys that you would have liked to have back. Like, I get why Mason left, getting a fresh start after having to miss the whole year because of the complications from knee surgery. But I mean, he's been a regular contributor on the line for almost his entire career. And Ben Perry, I mean, he got benched, but he was still decent and good. Maybe not playing as well as Antonio Watts was, and maybe he'd had too much of a penchant for giving up wheel routes. But I mean,
don't gotta take pot shots on the way out. He was a 4-year guy for us. Come on, man.
That's what I was saying. Like, I mean, there's a reason he was benched, but he wasn't terrible.
Like, I agree with Matt, though. I heard you on the radio the other day talking about Reiger, and like you were given the opportunity to talk about the guys that hurts the most, and that's definitely the one that I just wish if he would not have had this injury this past year, he would have been doing some damage this year. And who knows if we could have won maybe one more game having Mason Reiger, a full healthy Mason Reiger in with the pass rush. Who knows what our pass rush looks like with him out there on the field opposite of Ashton July.
Or even a healthy Jaden Thompson.
For real, man. I mean, honestly.
So of all the transfers,
Aaron Williams too. That one sucks for me too.
That was the one I was going to say was the only one that sort of caught me by surprise, because he had gotten some play and looked good in spring ball, but he got banged up early in the season again, and I hardly ever saw him after that. I think he got some very limited playing time in the down the home stretch of the season. So I wonder if it was sort of a health thing, if it was you couldn't agree on a number thing. Regardless, I mean, it stinks. But if we only lose one guy going into the portal where we're like, oh, what? Nah, that stinks. I think we're in a really good place. Like, Mace, like, obviously losing all these guys and the depth that they provide stinks. But all in all, like, I get it. Like Don Chaney and Maurice Turner, I would have loved to have had them as depth in the backfield, but hey man, you're getting ready to get on your last go rounds and you want to be the bell cow. I get it. We didn't anticipate on our 2 true freshman running backs both being phenoms.
You can't say both those guys didn't have opportunities to take the reins.
Yeah.
That's what I look at this list as, is every single one of these kids had an opportunity at some point to take the reins. They either did and failed, or they could never step up to the table. And that's kind of how I look at everybody that's leaving right now. I don't see anybody leaving for money purposes or anything like that. I think all these kids are just playing time, maybe drop down a level and see how well they do, or some of them like Ben Perry, Mason, maybe you can land at another big P5 school or a decent P5 school. Same with Aaron Williams. Like you mentioned the injuries, Keith, like John Grenard's another guy I think about with injuries. I know kind of different time frames. John left his last year. Aaron has multiple years left, but injury-wise, sometimes a change of scenery for what we saw with Tyler Shuck this year. Sometimes a change of scenery for whatever reason does a lot for somebody with their injuries. Maybe I should have left Louisville. Wouldn't have torn my ACL the second time.
So, you sort of poached the question, but I wanted to dial it back. So which one of these personal opinion hurts the most? What hurts the most?
I don't think any of them really hurt me. Probably Mason for personal reasons. I like Mason. I love Mason. I've seen Mason's development from freshman to now up close and personal was something that I really enjoyed and wished he would have. I loved his brother too. His brother was an awesome player for us, so obviously wanted them to hang around. Awesome family. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like most of the people who see these, if it's going to hurt, it's going to be personal, Mason or a Ben Perry. Hell, even a Maurice Turner, coming in, seeing him come up. It's okay, now I'm sitting behind Garendo and Jaws. Now it's going to be my time.
Did he transfer for you all in college football 25 after the first year too? It's funny, but it's kind of funny how everything parallels too.
So, well, to sort of,
I can't help but feel bad for Mo Turner to an extent because his freshman year, he starts his 5th on the depth chart. He ends the year on a high note, but of course Jaws is in front of him.
Yeah,
and then enters the year is probably the backup to Jaws. Jaws obviously gets banged up, but then Isaac Garendo explodes. And then Mo, he starts as the starter this season. He gets hurt. And then, Isaac Brown turns into a freshman All-American. And then Duke Watson says, you know what? You're a freshman All-American? I want to try to see what that feels like too. And so by the time that Mo was healthy again, they didn't really
I believe
change your positions to slide Maurice.
I believe those two led the conference in average yards per carry by the end of the year. It's just been a
Duke Watson leads the nation.
Yeah. So that's bad luck, and it sucks. So I hope Maurice can go get a chance and actually shine somewhere.
Absolutely.
So with honestly, as compared to what I was kind of expecting, limited losses, what are some of our biggest positions of need at the moment? So I had a couple of examples listed. The obvious one, QB1. I had defensive back, interior D-line. We still need one interior starter on the offensive line, I believe, and then just O-line depth, because I don't know if Crocker or if McDermott are quite ready for reps with the twos just yet. Depth running backs, and then wide receiver depth. Any particular that jump out to you as the biggest one, or any positions I missed?
There's one massive one, and that's the secondary, because they graduate.
I skipped it.
They graduate a ton of guys. The only regular returner is D'Angelo Hutchinson, and then the other 4 remaining scholarship defensive backs, whether they be corner or safety, played a combined 6 defensive snaps this past season. So they're going to need to hit the portal hard for defensive backs.
Antonio Harris, welcome to the fucking show.
There's also Tayon Holloway, but
yeah, we can just open that scholarship spot probably, but
yeah. What's understood does not have to be exploited.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you hitting encourage transfer? It sounds like, Keith.
I'm going to let the U.S. legal system take effect before I make any statements of condemnation. So
I've said what I need to say. Moving on.
yeah, exactly. Cannonball. So who's potentially coming? Ayo.
Pause.
So with the portal being open, of course, every quarterback who has a pulse.
This is bullshit. We're not talking about the Italian first. This is Italian-American discrimination. This is what I talk about all the time to you all. It happens all the time. The fact that we're not talking about Troy Stellato is ridiculous.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Tommy Cutlets out of Boston.
No, I want Troy Stellato strictly so we can have his uncle or cousin on the sidelines. That would be absolutely electric.
So I do have Troy Stellato listed, but come on, we got to talk about the quarterback position first. It's the sexy position.
Go for your quarterback.
Don't say it like Italians, it's mine.
Now you're saying Italians aren't sexy. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear, Keith.
I don't need to say it.
Is Troy Stellato a quarterback, Vince?
No, but he's Italian.
So, of course, the hot name that's the new Twitter trending topic is Miller Moss. And at risk of accusing our audience of being magpies, a British bird that has an affinity for shiny things, and, of course, Miller Moss being the first shiny thing quarterback that hits the portal, everyone clamoring for him. I just don't see it with him, man. So I know, Vince, you're on the same side of the fence as me with this, but Matt, I wanted to get the heat check with you, Matt. What are your thoughts on Miller Moss before me and Vince just go straight into hater mode?
There are good things and there are bad things. Now, we all saw the Holiday Bowl, but I think some of that was the fact that Louisville's secondary got cooked, roasted, broiled, steamed, insert adjective here. Not to take away from what he did, but I mean, Louisville's defense didn't really help themselves. And I mean, he had some good throws. I mean, I remember watching the LSU USC game to start the year, and he was cooking LSU. And then I came to realize, oh, everyone's cooking LSU.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like there was a period where he wasn't really performing that well. But to be fair, to play devil's advocate, some of that was because USC, their offensive line is dog shit, and it ruined his confidence.
Them California boys got soft hands.
So, I mean, I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't hate it. I'll say this. I would take Miller Moss over Connor Wigman.
I mean, yeah, we're not even glorifying that with conversation, I assume.
Yeah.
So
I've got three names for you. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Caleb Williams. What do all three of those guys have in common?
Lincoln Riley.
And?
Heisman Trophy.
Yes, and Miller Moss is not in that conversation. And if this kid couldn't make it in that offense, that quarterback offensive friendly, I mean, that is set up for you to put numbers up. Come on, people. Like
with the skill position players to put said numbers up.
Seriously, man.
With
like I'm not. If Jeff,
probably the fastest player in college football in Zachariah Branch.
Look, if Jeff decides to bring him in, I'm going to find a million reasons as to why he could be the guy. I promise you that.
This episode will be scrubbed from the YouTube channel fast.
I can be sold. I trust my head coach. I'm not going to say the line that is frequently used on radio of trusting.
Yeah.
What do they say? Trust your Brom. Trust your Brom.
Oh, I hate that phrase so much.
Blind trust is not something I give out.
But I mean, the past 2 years with Tyler, he's 50% on guys that I enjoy, Tyler and Jack. So, I mean,
yeah, and I will say,
I'm gonna say, like, I can be convinced by Jeff if he does bring him in, but I'm not gonna be the happiest.
Now, obviously, it won't be knowledge that at least me and Vince aren't privy to because we're not big J journalists like Matt. But Miller Moss is a guy that it's price point dependent, and as of right now, it's looking like he is going to command a premium price. And he is not a premium quarterback. I went through, studied a couple of games, including some of the good, some of the bad. The good, his frame. Kid's big. Like he's listed at 6'1" and like 205. Kid looks like he's carrying about 220, 230. Maybe he's just got an extra thick flak jacket, but he carries himself like it. He throws with really good touch on short and intermediate routes. I'll give him credit there. And he's not completely oblivious to pressure, but it takes a lot to get him rattled. Now, that's where the cons sort of come in. When you do get him rattled, similar to like what we saw with Jack Plummer, if you get pressure in his face, his fundamentals go completely out the window.
I didn't want to say it, but
yeah,
like we've all three said the name already in this how many minutes we've been talking about.
And look, I'm not trying to shit on Jack. I'm just listing similar traits that Moss has with him. When you get pressure in his face, the fundamentals sort of go out the window, and he does not have an arm that can really drive the ball downfield like Tyler Shuck did. Now, obviously, if everyone had arms like that, everyone would have electric dynamic offenses. But if you are the quarterback guru like Jeff Brom is, you should be able to attract guys who have that kind of arm talent. Miller Moss is a fine college quarterback. You don't pay premium prices for fine college quarterbacks. Those are the guys you sort of wait, bring in, like, okay, yeah, you can compete with our freshman or our sophomore for the job. And maybe that's the plan. Save money at the quarterback position, stock up everywhere else. But if we're going to go big game hunting for quarterbacks, you got to wait until everyone's in the portal. And yes, of course, representation is already reaching out. I'm sure there are a couple of other quarterbacks, like personal horse I'm backing, Preston Stone, once SMU is eliminated. Oh my God, seeing him in a Jeff Brom offense would be beautiful. He's also probably going to come at a premium price. So.
I'm not sure who I want at quarterback. I mean, I still obviously want to see what Pierce can do. Want to see what Harrison Bailey, is he coming back this year? Isn't he the other kid on, or is it,
Eligibility is a social construct. Harrison Bailey can come back, I think.
Or who is it? It's Pierce and who else?
Harrison's at eligibility.
Okay, yeah. So he's finally done. Well, so Deuce Adams.
It'll be Pierce and Deuce then, right?
And Mason and
Mason
Egan.
And Brady.
And Brady.
Do you think Mason has a legitimate shot of pushing for the starting quarterback position, though?
I think Deuce probably has a better shot than Mason.
Yeah.
Deuce has a good. That's the thing, is I still want to see what these younger kids can do, and I don't know. Like you all said, I'm anxious to see who all gets in the portal. Like Keith said, what's the bird you compared us to? I think that was a very accurate comparison.
Magpie.
How everybody, Magpie. How everybody is feeling about Miller Moss right now. Like he's the first shiny toy that's there. Ooh, I want to buy that. First thing you see at Toys R Us.
Well, just like a certain quarterback that went to Florida State last offseason.
Well, that somebody on this show wanted so badly, and we saw how that season went for them. Sounds like the kid should be playing tight end.
Well, if you have the Twitter algorithm that Keith has, I guess Dylan Raiola is hitting the portal too.
Hey, that's not true. Hey, clarification. That's not true. And I did verify that I got. I did verify in the group chat.
I got a day with how many Twitter accounts there are nowadays. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is check the comments.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked to see a guy like that. Like, if Quinn Ewers doesn't go to the NFL, he's probably hitting the portal because it's Archie time in Texas, baby.
Think so. Think it's Archie time.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I wouldn't mind if Quinn Ewers decided to learn how to speak Churchill Downs.
We don't have the tax bracket to compete for Quinn Ewers.
I know. I'm just saying. I
would not complain.
See, if he's smart, that boy would go for a discount price because he's already rich from that first year at Ohio State, essentially. I mean, if you guys remember, he graduated early to go to Ohio State. So just go win and develop as a quarterback.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
So, Vince, it's time. Your favorite part.
What's that?
One other player that so far in the early portal process that's not a quarterback that's been linked to Louisville, there was a couple of offensive linemen. I'm not going to dive too deep into that because that would be a depth piece. Is Troy Stellato, wide receiver out of Clemson. One of the best things, he has multiple years of eligibility remaining. I believe he has 2 years coming into his new program. Was a 4-star kid out of high school, and I believe I used it to describe a recruit earlier, but Troy, like many American Italians, knows his way around a weight room. Kid is put together. For wide receiver standards, damn good run blocker too. And that's where I sort of think scheme fit in this offense. He would plug in very well. He has good straight line speed. Needs a little bit of coaching up on getting off the line. Still kind of gets jammed and washed out of some pass plays if you get pressed on. And also coming off a hand surgery to fix a torn thumb that he had against Pittsburgh this year. Played with it against Citadel. Tried to grit it out. Did not do so. And when asked why he was leaving Clemson, had some pretty scathing things to say.
Yeah,
Did he really?
I was shocked that he kind of just let it all out there. Which, I mean, good for him. I wish more players were a little bit more open and honest about these.
I think they're scared to do that because people think that this, they're already getting paid, they're already entitled. What do they have to whine about at this point? Blah blah blah.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to pull up the quote because
I got you. It was, quote, "I didn't envision myself growing as a player here," he told the website in a story published Tuesday night. He felt disrespected at times and still have no clue how he was demoted after the UVA game. He finally started getting in a rhythm. There was way more out there for me, and I wasn't getting the opportunity. And then, and then it's going to what Dabo sort of said about the situation. But yeah, basically just, y'all skipped me. What the hell?
Dabo's going to have some people coming to find him whenever he's going to walk out to his car one night at Clemson. And he's going to wonder why his kneecaps get broken. And there might be a reason. But I'm excited for this kid. I hope he ends up in the Louisville uniform really bad. Like he said, he's huge. It's not like it's like Amari. It's not like I'm saying we're getting a 1,000-yard receiver here, but it's a piece that I'm not going to be disappointed that will you be more happy if we land Miller Moss or Troy Stellato?
I'd be thrilled about Stellato because you're not paying a premium price for him either.
Yeah.
And also
a good piece. You're not getting a 1,500-yard receiver, but you're getting somebody that at least, is going to come in, work their ass off, run the plays right, and go block their ass off.
And run.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
Hey, we do play Clemson next year. If you want to get a shot at them, get your ass up here. Come on.
Yeah. If we get this kid, I'm buying a fedora.
I thought you were going to say you're going to get his jersey.
Nope. I'm doing one better. Sean has his uncle. I think it's his uncle, cousin. We'll call him his cousin for now until we confirm.
Cousin Vinny.
Yeah. Is selling fedoras.
Nice.
Oh my God.
So don't say, oh my God.
So obviously we're going to be touching base with everyone as the portal turns, as we approach the next signing day. If there's any new developments on recruits we're potentially looking at, the portal is going to probably be carrying the weight of the content for the next couple of months.
I make one request as a kid that I know this is a dark shot to get, but I text you all in the group message. Dane Key, I want bad. I want we recruited him at Louisville, and with Satterfield and them, and we didn't have the best shot, obviously, because of who his dad is, Coach Key, being the stud at UK. He was. Mm-hmm. We knew he kind of didn't have the best shot, but it's not like he hated us. It's not like he hated Louisville. That's a kid that if he ends up in a Louisville jersey, I will buy the jersey and expect him to put numbers up. I love the Key family. The Keys are amazing people, so I hope he ends up in Louisville. I hope we're at least looking into it.
Oh no! Oh, they are. No, I can confirm that they're going to look into that.
Yeah,
I mean
journalism. Yes, he is an electric playmaker. Oh, so when Vince Morrow's rumored to talk to us, that's not okay. But when Dane Keed comes, it's great.
One person does stuff on the field, the other, they might as well hook a Burger King headset up to, because we all know we ain't talking to any coaches on that damn thing.
And misspell stuff on Twitter.
Right, and attacks fans and stuff. All you need to do is listen to any of the UK shows, and you'll hear how they talk about Vince Morrow.
The big dog.
No. I don't want any of that.
There are a couple of kids getting out of Lexington that I certainly would not complain about making the pilgrimage on 64
West.
West.
A D lineman, a defensive lineman that came in the portal?
Keyshawn Silver, I think is his name.
Yeah. You guys want to get back at Stoops? I mean, next year, no
Hey,
bad.
I mean,
I
hell,
ain't
if,
above a vengeance transfer. Stellato, that goes for you too.
if Barry Brown wants to join Dane Key,
I mean, I won't be mad at that at all.
even
a package
if he
deal.
doesn't come to Louisville.
I'll help you guys move. I mean, I will drive down there. We can load up the truck right now.
Yeah, so the portal will keep things very, very busy over the next few weeks and months. And for everything Louisville when it comes to the portal, keep yourself tuned in right here from the Pink Seats podcast, because we got Big J journalist Matt McGavic. We've got the Italian stallion Vince Lococo. And then you've got me, producer Keith. But I try to keep this. I try to steer the wheel a little bit.
He's got a cool hat.
Yeah, that's all I got.
He's got more hair than both Vince and I combined.
I don't know, brother. Look at these curls. Right there.
I will say, though, it's been like a couple weeks since I did shave. So.
All right, so for the YouTube audience, get down, leave a like, subscribe. Do it if you're cool. Hop into the comments. Tell us about players you want to get in the portal. Do you want Miller Moss? And are me and Vince just the biggest haters in the world? Let us know in the comments. On the audio side, leave some reviews, man. We read those too. Get over there. Do it. Do it if you're cool. Again, thank you again for tuning into another episode of From the Pink Seats podcast. Producer Keith, Matt McGavic, Vince Lococo. We're out.